Hi, my name's Emily Yee, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I specialize in working with gifted teenagers and their families, and I'm doing a series right now that kind of covers more of the gifted adults. So if I start working with your child as a teenager, my intention is to be present with you guys as long as you'll have me. You never really grow out of giftedness, and all that to say, you don't necessarily need to come to therapy every week at all, but just having pockets where you recognize, hey, I'm struggling with this thing and I want to come in and debrief. And we do that and then launch again. And coming in and out is a totally normal part of what I would consider a healthy use of therapy. And so, anyway, this series is about some of the things that the gifted adults that I work with deal with in life. So, this one is going to be about perfectionism. And perfectionism is basically just fear dressed up in a fancy outfit. We like to think that it's a good thing. We think that, oh, if I'm type A or if I'm organized or if I'm on top of things, then being perfectionistic is a strength. But not when it causes you to completely shrink up, freeze up, stop altogether out of fear of disappointing, being not good enough, or less than. So I'll give you an example in my own life. I am an artist. I paint, I say, for a living, not necessarily because people pay me money, but in order to live. Like, it has to happen. It helps me regulate my system. Like, mixing colors on a canvas is my painkiller. So I share that with clients along the way of here's how I do process painting, where it's just layer after layer after layer, and none of it is really to be pretty, but more to be interesting and to self-soothe. And so I share that gift with a lot of the clients that I work with. But if I am painting and then somebody says, hey, I would love to sell your artwork, or I would love for you to do a class where you're teaching, all of a sudden I'm like, my stuff is terrible. I don't think I should be painting anymore. And I'll just pack it up and put it away. And that is perfectionism in action, of fear of not being good enough, not hitting the bar. With therapy and with the credentials I have behind my name and the years of training that I've had, I feel like, listen, I have something I can offer, But when it comes to art, just the sheer talent or the love of it isn't enough for me most of the time. I'm trying to get through that and over that. But that's just an example of how it plays out in my life, where perfectionism is not a good thing. It kills the joy of just living without the constant critic that's in your mind saying, you're not good enough, you need to be done. If you freeze under pressure, or if you get stuck when there is all these expectations, I just want to float this idea out to you that you're not lazy, you're overwhelmed. And if we can accept the change in thought there, lazy is something that is a character trait and something that I tend not to believe in. I usually think that if you're not able to do something, it's because you're not able to do it. You need more support, you need more systems in place. And so I would say the same is true here. When you recognize that you're overwhelmed, that's the first step. Acceptance, learning yourself, understanding how you got here. And then we take the next steps through that of how do I support myself so I can make one baby step at a time, and each step leads to another step, leads to another step that gets us to where we want to be. So, statistic time, 30% of gifted adults have maladaptive perfectionism. And maladaptive would mean how you respond in that moment is actually not helpful to your success. And I would invite you to think about where you might have this in your life, especially if you identify with this intense personality type. Part of being gifted often is this emotional intensity and emotional reactivity and a big fat fear of failure. And so any little hint of, ooh, I'm not measuring up here, people don't like it as much, people won't pay as much, I'm not as successful, just very tuned into what failure might be and feeling it very deeply. And the risk of putting something out there only to feel that sense of failure is very scary. And so that's part of this perfectionistic tendency. I would say, again, it's that fear just dressed up in a pretty outfit and then celebrated. And we kind of want to debunk that being a perfectionist and thinking things have to be 100% and everything you do has to be excellent is going to hold you back in life and keep you from your full potential. And you would think that this perfectionism, if we bring the sock puppet voices to mind that are happening in your head, you would think that that voice of, that's not good enough, you need to do better, actually just put it away, is being mean to you. But what if we had a kind of a shift of mindset here and thought of it as being afraid? It's scared. It's the fear. And so if it's saying, I'm really scared that you're going to feel rejected and I don't want that for you. I'm really scared that people are going to make fun of you or that people are going to laugh and I don't want you to experience that discomfort. And so it's a part of you that's coming from a childhood wound, most likely, where you believed that being rejected would be the worst thing ever. And everything we do needs to be above being the possibility of being rejected. But now you're an adult and that voice is just coming from a sock puppet. It's just coming from that childhood side of you. And as an adult, you're able to say, that rejection is part of growing, and something not taking off, you learn something from that. You're able to kind of rationalize with it that we have to take the next step. And sometimes you take 10 steps and none of them get positive feedback, but all of them lead to that next step launching. And that's logic and understanding that adults with fully formed brains have. But when you were a child and you formed this belief that I can't experience any rejection because it's too painful, you couldn't see all of that. And so becoming that manager of yourself and being able to say to the sock puppet voice, hey, we're going to take a risk. It's going to be okay. We're going to have really low expectations of this. We're going to do it for the fun of it. We're going to do it to learn. And taking it under your wing and saying, it's okay, you don't need to be afraid, I'm going to take care of this, is all part of working through the perfectionism. If as a child you experienced that you got a lot of praise when your performances were excellent, and that excellence was kind of expected, and if you weren't so great or took a chance at something that you weren't good at, that was definitely pushed to the side or frowned upon. Maybe you were criticized for getting frustrated or criticized for feeling sad if you didn't make the team. Maybe you were encouraged not to take risks because your family didn't want you to feel sad, or they kind of let you quit every sport that you tried. And so you just started to believe that core belief that performance and excellence is good and vulnerability and emotional reactions to things is bad. But if we're reworking that, then the idea of when you put yourself in a vulnerable place, you're learning. When you put yourself in a situation where you feel those butterflies a little bit and you think, hey man, I might fail at this, you are right where you need to be if you are trying to grow. And that growth mentality, the growth mindset of, I need to feel a little bit uncomfortable if I want to become a better version of myself. And I can tolerate a little bit of discomfort in order, it's worth the risk for me. Working on that mindset a little bit more, which we can say, oh my gosh, yeah, that's great, I want to think like that, but it takes work. It's hard. You think about going to the gym in order to get stronger, you put in the effort, it does not feel good while you're doing it, but after some time you are able to lift heavier weights and you are able to see a result in your body. Similarly here, you show up, you feel vulnerable, it's like it's a sensation in your body that is not comfortable, and you get more comfortable with it, and then you see the results pay off. And so getting comfortable in your mind with, I feel vulnerable right now, and that's a good thing. That means I'm right where I am. And finding that window of tolerance, especially if we are used to this window of tolerance of like, I can only handle this much discomfort, finding that and staying in it longer and longer and longer, but staying within your window of tolerance is the way to grow. It's like not maxing out with every lift, not going to your point of not being able to lift anymore every time, but finding what's comfortable to where you are a little bit sore, but you also still want to go back and work out. It's the same concept of pushing yourself with perfectionism and with taking risks. That 80% is perfect. concept. Figuratively speaking, when we're just kind of talking about the concept of it, it's exciting to talk about. But the homework that I want to give you is to practice imperfect communication. Practice communicating with the people in your life before you have it nailed down perfectly, and trying to work through expressing yourself person to person. It's a very difficult thing to work on. Practice asking for help when you need help, noticing what that feels like, noticing what it's like when the other person responds, and continuing to work on verbalizing that you need help if that's something that you struggle with. Looking vulnerable and emotional, trying with your safest person and with the safest thing that you can, again, going back to that window of tolerance, what you're willing to ask for help with, practicing there, starting there. And then this one is kind of going back to the fun and games. For me anyway, the easiest part is practicing good enough work. I'm gonna do enough. I'm gonna do good enough. 80% is perfect. I mean, done is better than perfect. Kind of working through your to-do list and being very cognizant of the fact of, I'm not going to work on each of these until they're perfect. I'm just going to get them done and move on. I can always come back, but moving forward with your tasks if you find that you get stuck on the details and get bombarded with work. That would be a place that I would start. So if any of this sounds interesting, like you would like to learn more, you would like to go deeper, I would love to chat with you. My website is jacksonvillecreativetherapy.com. and all my information is on there. I would love for you to reach out to me through there, and I will talk to you soon.